Hello, I am John Najarian, and RebelCon 2022 is almost here. We do have a virtual pass. The virtual pass gives you full access to everything, all the streams, the live trading sessions, all of our fabulous keynote speakers. So to learn more about what's going on at RebelCon 2022, whether you're in person or virtual, check out marketrebellion.com/Dallas.
Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take on this shortened week. Yes, we had the holiday and so forth, but going back to Friday, that was an absolute wild ride again. And I say that time and time again, but I will say this, the head fakes, the volatility, all of that mixed together, just give this just a little bit of thought. On Friday, when we were still trading, we started the day off pretty strong. Things looked pretty good. We had about an 800-point range for the Dow. We actually were over 32,000 at the high points of the day to finish down 337 points total to the downside. But we actually finished down there in the 31,000 area, 31,300, somewhere close to that level. NASDAQ, sort of the same story. We had an absolute, just a great move to the upside. We fall 300 points from that great move to the upside to finish down the day about 150 points. Just a wild ride just in general. We've been seeing that more and more. All major indices dropped over 1%. I mean, that is really something. We really did have an absolute crazy day. And you look over at crude still holding around 87. You look at nat gas, somewhere near 9, a little bit different today. The 2-year been creeping higher and higher, 3.4. You had the 10-year right around 3.2. You had volumes of over 45 million contracts trading on Friday going into the weekend. That just doesn't normally happen, but we are in different times and we are seeing incredible swings and we are seeing more and more in terms of volatility. Speaking of which, you look at the VXN, that was trading right a little bit above that 32 level and holding above there, even pricing in the long weekend, along with the VIX itself, which traded right over about, call it 25.50. It's where we closed out the week. And that weekend, all priced in, still 25.50. Pretty amazing. So what were the sectors that were getting hit and what was really moving around? When I said every sector, that was early. We did have a little bit of movement actually in energy that did change things just a little bit as well. Communications, that was getting hit nearly 2%. Snap, Meta, Google, Pinterest, all those kinds of names. Healthcare really took it on the chin. You look at Merck, you look at Pfizer, you look at J&J and AbbVie and Amgen, all under some pressure. You had technology down over 1%. You had industrials down about 1%. You get the idea. We did have some positives, though. It seems like I'm going right after everything that was negative. We had some positives. The ag space, we had CF and Mosaic come back over and be actually in positive territory. They had made great runs to the upside, had a few period of time where they were giving some of that back. Had a pretty nice day on Friday, along with Lulu that absolutely crushed it. And then throw in PDD and Netties and throw in Chevron, had a pretty good day. But there were other areas of the market that were certainly under pressure. Talked about healthcare. How about Regeneron? How about Vertex? Definitely some of those names that added to that. So we start off today. And once again, we have one of these days where you've got that head fake. In the pre-market, we're up 170 points on the Dow. We're up about 55 points on the NASDAQ. Before you could blink, the NASDAQ was at flat. Before you could blink, the Dow was getting closer and closer to that level. It was up about 20 points. We were down 110 points right when we got into the top part of the day. Gives you a little bit of an idea, the kinds of movements that we are seeing now in this first hour, down about 110 points for the Dow, down 124 points now for the NASDAQ. So we have certainly picked up a little bit of that momentum on this slide to the downside. You had crude early on, right around that 88 level. We had the volatility right where we were at 25.70. Then we moved up to 26s. Then we moved into the 27s. We're seeing that creep a little bit higher and a little bit higher. By the way, nat gas sliding down just a little bit, down right around 8.5. You have the 2-year jumping up near 3.5. You have the 10-year at a 3.3. You got Bitcoin kind of floating around that 20,000 level once again. It's a lot going on right now. And you look and you can see it in the sectors themselves. Early on, materials were up 0.75%. You had energy up about 0.8%. Financials up about 0.6%. Just some of the flipping around that we are seeing from some of these sectors, just absolutely extraordinary. So what are some of the names that are pulling on the markets, at least to the upside? Well, Illumina would be one of those holding up, along with Lulu, Fiserv. You got Boeing, Caterpillar. Early on, those are the names that were positive and starting to give a little bit of that pull to the upside. Didn't last long, obviously, and then you start looking, and it's healthcare, it's Moderna, it's also names like Netflix and Paramount that are pulling on the markets. Got a financial for you we don't talk about very often, but take a look at that Discovery Financial right now. That's under pressure. Some of those Chinese names definitely under pressure as well. PDD, JD, Baidu, throw in Okta, throw in a 3M. 3M has really been struggling of late, and that's certainly been a storyline as well. Got two unusuals for you, and we're out of here. ChargePoint, number one. That one's, we know that name hits very, very frequently with some size trades. Well, today is no different. Trading a little bit above $14, 14.25, let's call it. 29,000 of the September 16 calls being bought today for about 32 cents. They are back, and they are back with a vengeance and aggressive once again. And we are seeing that play out in ChargePoint. This is to the upside on a negative day. Rivian as well, kind of sticking with the EV space. You got the battery chargers and all the rest of that over here. Now take a look at Rivian. Now that was trading around 32.88. We had a buyer of 15,000 of the September 9th. That's this week's expiring Friday calls at 35 strike calls. Stock again, just underneath 33. They're buying the 35s pretty much right on top of things. 24 cents up to about 40 cents for those options as well. So looking for a little bit of bullishness and a lot of bearishness that we are seeing now in these turns in the markets and just these sharp reversals that we have seen time and time again. We've seen it in both directions, but certainly we've seen a little bit more frequently where we start off pretty strong and we just are unable to hold it. That's exactly what we are seeing today. Folks, have a great day of trading. Watch the Rebels Edge. John and I will be bringing that to you at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Two of us are going to be hitting 4 major topics of the day. We'll hit 2 unusual option activities, and then we're going to have a little bit of fun with some sports as well. Give you a little bit of a teaser. We'll definitely be talking about last weekend's college football as we go into this week's college football. We got a lot more going on as well. Definitely going to cover that on the Rebels Edge. Look for it. It is great. We're having a great time. Love to have you join us as well. Folks, have a great day of trading.